Today, I will be modeling a multicultural literature and culturally responsive lesson. I'm using math as my subject area. Good morning, everybody. Today's math lesson is going to be based on the use and groupings of odd and even numbers. Who remembers odd and even numbers from kindergarten? Great. Oh, fantastic. And if you don't remember even and odd numbers, it's okay because we're definitely going to review what's the difference between even and odd numbers today. So our objectives today are number one, to predict. Hmm, that word predict. I feel like that word predict could be a cognate. Remember, cognates are those words that are very similar in Spanish and very similar in English, or very similar in another language to the same word in English. Predict sounds like predecir in Spanish. Predict what will happen each time something is put in the pot. Huh, I wonder what type of pot. I wonder what that has to do with even and odd numbers. Determine whether a group of objects has odd or even numbers. Determine. It sounds like another cognate. Determinar. Hmm. Lastly, we're going to write an equation to express an even number as a sum of two equal additions. All right, so we're going to start our lesson by doing an activity called hanging hashtags. Who knows what a hashtag is? That's right. It's that symbol, that it's the number symbol, right? And do you guys have you guys seen this symbol anywhere else? That's correct. Some adults use this symbol when they're using social media. Do you know why? Anybody? Yes. Great answer. Yes, that is because they connect, right? So they use this symbol as as a connection tool. So, for example, let's say I love dogs, right? So say you would say hashtag love dogs, and then Susie over here says hashtag I love dogs too, and so we immediately can connect, right, in social media. So the same kind of activity is what we're going to be doing today. Today we're going to look for connections. We're going to think about we're going to look at a picture. We're going to think about this picture. What does it remind us of? Have we seen it before? If we haven't, well, what could it be used for? Right? So we're going to kind of think about this particular picture that we're going to look at. And we're going to think about what what is it used for? Have I seen it before? If I haven't, it's okay. But I wonder what it could be used for. And so once we think about that, we're going to use the post-its that you have on top of your desk. And you're going to write 1 to 3 words. How many? 1 to 3 words about what you think about this object, right? So, whatever comes to mind, whatever it reminds you of, we're going to use 1 to 3 words. So, are we ready? I'll give you about 30 seconds to take a look at the object and think about it. There it is. So, we have 30 seconds. All right, we have 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. All right, we're not sharing yet. The next step, remember, is going to be using our post-its, and we're going to use our hashtag and then 1 to 3 words to write down whatever it is that this particular object reminds us of. So I will give you about 30 seconds to do this as well. Please keep in mind that if you need some support with how to write a word. Don't forget to take a look at the word wall. And then those of you who are not sure about the meaning of a particular word, don't forget that you have a word bank. Very good. 30 seconds, guys. 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. So now the third step is going to be, we are going to, as table groups, we're going to talk about what hashtags do we have in common. Okay. And then once we find hashtags that we have in common, we're going to post them around the picture here at the smartboard. All right, so I'll give you another about 30 seconds to talk to your table groups and determine what hashtags do you have in common as a table group. 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. All right, so now we're going to talk about what we do have in common, and we're going to post it around the picture. Perfect. I love those ideas. Great. All right, so now we're finally going to deep dive into this particular pot. What is so special about this pot? So we're going to listen to the story of Two of Everything by Lily Toy Hung. My goodness, guys, what did you think about that story? Isn't that such a great story? Wouldn't you love to have that pot in your house? I know I certainly would love to have that pot in my house. I would throw everything that I have in my house in that pot. I would try to get two of everything. It was a great use of the little purse, right? From Mr. Um, Hacktack, and then throwing Mrs. Hacktack. I mean, Mrs. Hacktack, then uh, getting another Mrs. Hacktack. I know, it was so funny. All right, well, this is what we're going to do now. We're going to do one more activity. It's called post it and pile it. It's very similar to the hashtag. But in this one, we are going to just at our table groups do very similar. But now, instead of thinking about what we think we knew about the pot, now we're going to think about how this story is similar or reminds us of anything that we that might connect to our family. For example, I know that when I listened to the story, the first thing that I thought about was that Mr. Hacktack has a garden and likes to garden. And then I thought, oh my gosh, my dad loves to garden. So see, I made that connection. So I want us to now think about what connections do we have from the story to our family? And if we don't have any connections, what connections would we like to have? What are things that you saw in the story that you would definitely like to have as part of your family or as part of your circle of friends, right? All right, so this is how it's going to work. We are going to think about what elements of the story connect with us, right? Or our family. And then you're going to write it on your post-it. We're going to wait until everyone is done. And once everyone is done, we are going to again talk in our table groups and kind of see where or what things do we have in common with the people in our table. And then the things that we do have in common, we're going to pile them. Okay, does everyone understand? Does anyone have any questions? Fantastic. So I'll give you guys about a minute to complete this activity, and then we will discuss what you guys do have in common as a table group. All right. 3, 2, 1. Perfect. All right, table one. Tell me, what did you guys end up piling? Oh my goodness, yes. Having lots of family. Yes, having family nearby, just like Mr. and Mrs. Hacktack. Perfect. Great. All right. Thank you, table three. Thank you, table five. All right, so now the big concept, right? How is this going to be anything related to math? Well, we are going to, just like in the story, we are going to count on even numbers and kind of look at odd numbers, right? We are going to determine whether a group of objects has odd or even numbers. So we're going to use counters as those objects, right? And then we're going to write an equation to express an even number um, of two equal ends. So before we do that, I would like to know where we're at, right? I want to make sure that before we move on, we kind of have a good grasp. So very, very quickly, because like I said previously, I'm pretty sure that a lot of you guys are very familiar with even numbers and odd numbers, because I know you've seen them in kindergarten and I know you've seen them in first grade. But just in case you haven't, or just in case you've forgotten, right? Because that could happen for sure. We're going to look at what are even numbers. Well, even numbers are numbers that you can pair up. Are numbers that when you pull them apart, you can actually share equally, right? That means that if I have um, four uh, M&Ms and I have two friends, I could definitely give two M&Ms to one friend and two M&Ms to another friend, and they would be shared equally. That's why they're shareable. Now, odd numbers, no ma'am, no, they are not shareable because someone is always an odd man out. All right, so we are going to look at some of the things that happen in the story and figure out if that would have been an odd number or if that would be an even number. We're good? Perfect. All right, so Mr. Hacktack, Mr. Hacktack's coat, before it was placed in the pot, was that an even number or was that an odd number? Think about it, think about it, think about it, think about it, think about it. All right. Number one, if you think it was an odd number. Number two, or two fingers, if you think it was an even number. All right, let me see. One, two, three, go. Perfect. Yes. Number one, right? A one. It was just one coat. Can you really share one coat with another person if you're wearing it? No, right? All right. Number two, Mrs. Hacktack's hairpins after they fell in the pot. Let's see. One, two, three, go. Perfect. Yes. Even numbers because now she has two. Now she has one for herself and one for someone else. And lastly, the golden pot. What do you guys think? One, two, three. Yes, it was an odd number. Doesn't say in the story that there's another pot. There's just one pot. Perfect. All right, so now I'm gonna let you guys work in partners. And um, I'm sorry, we're not working in partners yet. Sorry. We are going to go ahead and work as a group. You have your whiteboard, sorry, your dry erase markers so that you can do two or three of these problems with me. And then I'm going to let you work with a partner. Very good. So you are going to go ahead and use the manipulatives. You're going to use the counters, and we are going to put in four, right? We're going to put in four counters. So everyone should have four counters on top of their paper. All right. So how many counters should be coming out? Think about it. Think about it. All right. All right. Write it down. If you said 4 counters went in and 8 counters came out, you give yourself a pat on the back. Yay! Good job. All right, so now on the bottom, we have um, an example of how we're going to create these sentences, right? These addition sentences. If I put in 4, and everyone should be filling in the blank with number 4, following along with me, then 8, right, are supposed to come out. And then in the squares, we're going to write 4 plus 8. I mean, sorry, 4 plus 4 equals 8. Very good. Very good. It doubled. All right, now we're going to do the next problem. Excellent. Excellent. So now we're going to work independently, or at least you're going to work with a partner, not with me. And with your partner, you're going to do a rally coach. What does that mean? That means that your partner is going to work on the first problem first, and you're going to be there to help them and support them if they need help or support. And if not, when they are finished, they're going to give you an answer. You're going to say, yes, that's the right answer, or you're going to say, tell me more about how you came up with that answer. And you're going to help each other. And then it'll be your turn to do the problem. And then your partner is going to support you if you need support. And if not, then you're going to give the answer. And if the answer is correct, you're going to celebrate your partner. And if the answer is not correct, you're going to say, hey, would you mind explaining to me how you got that answer? And then you're going to help each other, okay? So that's how we're going to finish up this problem. And I'll give you guys about maybe 10 minutes to complete this part. And after that, there is the exit ticket by the door. And you are going to name one event from the story that is a mirror. That means, remember how we've talked about this before? The mirrors, the windows, and the sliding doors. Well, today we're just going to talk about the mirror. And we're just going to focus on what in the story, shows or is similar to you, or a reflection of who you are. Maybe it could be the family dynamics. They like being together as a family, or maybe like me, I love, they have a garden vegetable and so did I, or my dad, right? And then the second question is going to be, if you had 2 things that you could put in the pot, what would they be? And how much would you get out? How much would you end up with? And then finally, you're going to write an equation about those 2 objects that you would put in the pot. Okay? All right, guys. Thank you so much. Let's get it done so that we can go to recess early.